All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Thanks for joining, everyone. Got a good turnout today. The topic of today's webinar is revolutionizing your heavy equipment dealership with AI. My name is Jacob Brown. I'm a sales and business development engineer with XAPT. Some things to know about me. I joined XAPT about a year and a half ago. I come from the Microsoft Dynamics world, so my perspective is really from a perspective of someone that knows Microsoft Dynamics and came over here because XAPT has the best product for dealerships like yourselves. And in my free time, I'm a big cyclist. I've cycled across the country twice, the United States. And my wife Lauren and I are expecting our first baby girl any moment now. So that's a little bit about me. Now moving on to the company XAPT. So XAPT is our company and NAXT is our product. It can be a little confusing. XAPT made a product called NAXT to run your heavy equipment dealership using Microsoft Dynamics 365. And so XAPT is a Microsoft Global Embedded ISV. That's an independent software vendor. So Microsoft authorizes us to embed our solution directly into Dynamics. This is really common. There's hundreds of solutions for different verticals because Microsoft Dynamics is really built for just broadly for any industry, right? So we bring that piece for your heavy equipment dealership. And then next, XAPT made NAXT. That's the product. It's an end-to-end, as you're going to see today, ERP platform. So it's really the platform where you can do everything from the ERP, the financials, the CRM, and then a lot of other small pieces that are optional that all come together really, really nicely. And NAXT adds all those pieces that you can't do out of the box, specifically for your requirements. And we want to emphasize that we work for dealers, right? We don't work for OEMs. We don't work for Microsoft. Your interests are our interests, right? So we build and evolve the product over the last 25 years. We just celebrated our 25-year anniversary. We build it for your specifications, and it's always evolving depending on what heavy equipment dealers are asking us to do. Another NACS difference is because this is all we do heavy equipment dealerships. We have over 700 dealership business processes out of the box that work in our system. So when we start an implementation with a new dealer, we don't come to you on day one and say, okay, what are your processes? We already know that, right? We already know to a degree, 80, 90% how you're doing business. And so we go through these processes and you say, yep, that's exactly how we do that. That's exactly how we do that. We check them off and you're good to go in the system. So it saves a lot of time, reduces risk and cost of the implementation, and it allows you to leverage best practices that we've learned over the last 25 years of doing this, right? And of course, when we do reach those processes that don't align with what you do, there's lots of options, either to change your process, to change the process in the system, either as you'll see today through just some configuring or things that don't require any kind of coding at all, or of course we can do developments for you to make it work exactly how you'd like. So there's lots of options. So the platform, the ecosystem here, it's constantly changing. We get a new one of these just about every hour, and Microsoft is constantly changing the names in here. But increasingly, this Dynamics ecosystem is revolving around Copilot there. And you may have heard of and used Copilot. It's everywhere. Microsoft thinks it's the future, right? And we agree, right? It's very exciting stuff that saves a lot of time, and that's the direction that software is heading itself, right? And so we're right there with Microsoft. And as you'll see today, we're going to show you many different ways that you can use Copilot within NAXT to get business done faster and easier. So what is NAXT actually? It's a comprehensive DMS and CRM designed specifically for you. And obviously you're able to transact and record your process in these areas, right? You wouldn't be looking at this system if you couldn't do that, right? But where we really think it stands apart in a crowded environment here with a lot of different solutions is this last one here, the BI, right? And so we're going to actually start today by showing you a little bit of how Copilot can help you with that business intelligence and how getting your whole platform, all the many software programs you have today over to the Dynamics ecosystem in NAXT can revolutionize the way you're able to do that BI, right? And that's really the key. That's the why to any of this, right? Why go through all this work to change over your systems? It's that right there, right? We want to gain a better understanding of our business. We don't just want to record what's happening and check boxes. We want to revolutionize our business, right? And that's the key. And we're going to show you how you can help. We can help you do that today. And so that starts with Microsoft Fabric. So Fabric's pretty new. You may have heard of it. You may not have. If you're a data person, you probably understand Fabric, and this slide probably makes some sense to you. If you're not a data person, you can kind of think of Fabric as Power BI on steroids. It's actually kind of the same thing at this point. You kind of flip back and forth between Fabric view and Power BI view, and it's all kind of the same idea. But this is Microsoft's data lake and reporting the latest from them, right? And so we're on top of this with them, and we have gone through a lot of legwork to get the parts of our system that are unique to us, right? Our IP, our heavy equipment specific tables, and everything that you're going to see today. We have gone through the work of getting that into the format and into these one lakes and into Fabric, so that as you'll see, we can very easily gain business intelligence just by speaking in plain language to Copilot. And this is evolving very quickly, and we're right as Microsoft releases things and as they evolve the product and how it works, we're right there with them. And we think that this is the foundation for the dealership of the future. Fabric and Copilot together. Fabric is all of your business data in one place, right? And Copilot is the ability to speak in plain language, to understand, analyze, and take action on that business data. Together with NAXT, it's not possible without NAXT to run a heavy equipment dealership in this way. So that's the piece that we bring to the table. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the solution, and I'm going to show you first and foremost, I'm going to kind of do the last part first here, right? As I've been teasing here, the most important part, the why to all of this, we're going to do first, and then we're going to kind of walk backwards into the, who, what, where, and how of the solution. So we'll start right here before we even look at Dynamics 365. Why do any of this? And that's this Fabric and this Power BI. So you can see I'm in Power BI, I'm in Fabric. It's kind of different views depending on what you're doing, right? If you're just analyzing frequently used data, or if you're in Fabric, building data lakes and the more advanced stuff as we've done here. So I'm going to jump into this parts semantic model here, and I'm going to create a report. And so that's taking all of our data in the parts area of the system. And of course, we can also, combine parts and service areas, right, to gain better insights. But if you're a Power BI person, you might be able to build a report here in a few minutes or a few hours here as you hone this in. But the exciting thing is that now even people that are not trained in data or in business intelligence are able to just ask Copilot something like, hey, create a report that shows sales amount by warehouse, source of supply, order class, count of lines by month, year, and sales amount by month and year. And in the time it takes you to read it, just about, it's going to be able to create a really cool report just speaking in plain language to Copilot. So maybe I'll try another one here. And this is your data from everywhere in your system here, right? This is from your CRM, from your field service, from your ERP. It's all in one place for you to ask Copilot to do things and help you analyze your business. So my next prompt is create a report that shows total service fill percent by warehouse, by customer, by cell ID, and by source of supply. And so we've got a second tab here. And so we can just keep doing this and asking Copilot to build new reports. Maybe here's one for margin. Let's say create a report showing sales to customers with sales amount and margin by year and month. It's going to add another tab there. And then as we're building this report, we're then able to ask it beyond just build the report. We may say something like, okay, I want you to anticipate what questions senior leadership may have about this report. And sometimes, depending on the data in here is not great because we're in a demo environment, right? But it's able to come up with, here I just came up with some ideas for things we should add to this report, but it's able to also analyze the data itself if you have better data, and answer questions about that data and start to kind of do your job for you. It gets a little scary, right? So this is available here, and the key is all your business data, if you migrate to NAXT, will be available in one place for you to get a full view of your entire business. So it's rental, sales, parts, service, and everything comes together right here, right? So that's the big idea. And so now let's walk backwards, back to the beginning of the demo. And I'm going to show you, number one, a number of different places you can use Copilot in NAXT, but I'm also going to show you just a lot of the cool ways. We don't have a lot of time, but some of my favorite features, and that really showcase how NAXT is kind of radically different from standard Dynamics 365, right? This is not just a small add-on, right? This isn't just a little piece that allows you to rent or allows you to do service, right? It's kind of a transformation of the system. It's a very large product that we're adding here, right? And we're kind of proud of that because it's important, right, that um, some companies may take more of a leaner stance that we don't want to modify dynamics as much, but with the new cloud structure here, right, we're not actually changing the source code at all. We're just extending it, so it's a lot lower risk, right? And you're still up to date. So all of our customers have to be, if you're on Dynamics, within just a couple versions of each other, and you have to take updates every year. And so what that means for you is, 10 years from now, you're not going to need to attend webinars with me again and see what new solution do I need now, right? 10 years from now, you should have an up-to-date state-of-the-art system, right? So that's the key. And so we, using that technology, modify NAXT, and it's quite a big solution, right? And in a lot of ways, it's very different because the way heavy equipment dealers do business in a lot of ways is very different. Take parts, for example, right? Standard Dynamics, we're able to sell items, right? Maybe retail items, but the way that heavy equipment dealers sell parts is very different from the way a retailer sells an item, right? And so we've done a lot of stuff here, as I'll show you today, and I'll show you some of my favorite ways that we've modified the system. That's really just going to click for you and say that's something we want. So a little navigation here, if you haven't seen this before, just a couple minutes. One way you can navigate is these workspaces. So I'll jump into maybe the service control board workspace. And you get a lot of these workspaces out of the box, either from Dynamics itself, like the financial ones are kind of unmodified by us, or this is one we've created entirely for heavy equipment dealers, right? This service control board, where we can jump into, say, all service calls. We can see at a glance here our WIP, our overtime percentage, and this is totally configurable by you. So if your users or if your organization or if a segment of your users want to change something about this, we can personalize this page, hide certain things, add new tiles to this page with metrics, change anything about this page. You can also create your workspace entirely just for you. I can create a workspace from scratch. My users can. So you can enable people to change as much or as little as you like them to do in the system. And that's a good way to navigate. So from here, we can see a lot of my service day at a glance. And then I can create a quote, a service call, contract, or warranty right from there. And there's workspaces like this for just about everything. So there's service contract management is another one we've created. And you'll notice you can actually promote some of these important things that you may be wanting to keep tabs on. I've promoted them right to my home page here. So I can see I've got a lot of overdue scheduled services. No one's been working in my demo system to do those, unfortunately. So I can bring those right up here. Rental management is another one that we'll take a look at later. That's kind of how you navigate. You go through workspaces, which is a little untraditional. You can also drill down over here just to find pages. Maybe I need to go find the all customers page. I could go a number of ways there. You can star pages. They show up in your recents or your favorites. I'm going to jump over to all customers. And here we'll see a good example of Copilot. So Copilot is in the system in a number of different places just to summarize pages, which it's really, really good at, right? Because it's just good at language and summarizing large amounts of information. So when I go to a customer page, there's tons of information on this page, right? And so Copilot's kind of anticipating, why is this person going to this page? Maybe they have a bunch of overdue invoices, right? Or maybe they have delayed orders, right? So it's kind of bringing that information right here for you, both the status of this customer and the insights for this customer. It's usually pretty good. And you can give it feedback here if it's good or not good. But this is on a number of different pages. This is on a sales order or a purchase order as well, a vendor. It's going to tell you what's going on. Another cool place to use Copilot, so workspace called Confirm Purchase Orders with Changes. So once again, this is something where there's a lot of information where Copilot's able to summarize for you what's going on with your confirmed POs that now have changes. And are they low impact changes that are affecting things downstream? Are they high impact? So it's able to look at, how many items are being delayed here, what's the dollar amount and what's happening here and going through all these many POs, it's able to highlight for you, hey, we should probably check on these ones. And from there, you're able to, because this is all one system, send an email, send a Teams message, or confirm purchase orders just in one click right from here. So that's a really cool feature where Copilot comes into play. So now I'm going to show you a few kind of dealership-specific features that I really like. One of those, I'm going to jump into maybe rental here. The rental process, what we've done is created this rental cart that I think is really cool. When I need to put out a rental, maybe someone calls me or I'm over the counter with someone and I just need to get a rental out. There's a number of different ways to do that, but the rental cart is a really easy wizard-driven way that we've created. That's a little nicer and easy to use compared to maybe a standard ERP system, right? So I'm going to choose the class that I'm renting here, and I can choose either the rental contract creation wizard or quote creation wizard. And they look the same. It just depends on, am I quoting someone or am I going straight to a contract here? And this wizard template here now takes you through step by step exactly what you need to do and nothing more to get this rental out the door, right? So I can choose my customer. I can choose where we're shipping it to, an address, customer, job site, or pickup warehouse. The job site is a whole concept we created because in standard dynamics, you can't have addresses going to many different customers. And so here you're able to have a job site, maybe a construction site, where we've got a number of different customers that we may send stuff to there. So we created that concept to meet the dealer's demands. And then the next page here, miscellaneous charges. So based on your parameters here, we've chosen that for this class or this customer that these are the defaults, but we can change those, add maybe a damage repair, transport fee. This is all configurable by you and how you do business. So just one page there, really easy to make sure the charges are correct. And then the contract summary. We're able to say, is this an RPO, rental purchase order, or a straight rental? You know, are they leasing this in any way? And we've got full suite of functionality for that. We can also add bulk items here. So for this rental class, we may have certain attachments or extras that we may include to rent or sell with that. Then we're able to see our charges, our taxes, and even take a payment, a down payment or a prepayment there, all in one go. And when everything looks good, we can either open, print, or activate the contract, or that would say quotation if we had done the quotation wizard. And then we're straight into our contract here. So instead of just coming straight to this contract and kind of having to jump around, you know, where do I go to get this out? That wizard really makes it really easy, boom, 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 to get stuff out the door, and it really makes it quite user-friendly. So that's one of my favorite features on the rental side. Another cool feature on the rental and equipment side is what we call an EMR. That's an equipment movement record. I'll jump over here to my EMRs. So a lot of these are made automatically by the system, but we found, you know, in standard dynamics, we're shipping products, right? We're shipping items. We're posting the packing slip. We're picking and packing it. We've got an invoice. But that's not quite how equipment moves, right? Equipment doesn't move like a product we're shipping moves or a part, right? Equipment moves differently. And so we have this EMR concept that anytime equipment is moving, we're creating an EMR. And we also have a mobile app that we've created called the EMR mobile app that's great for moving equipment. You can scan it in. Is it inbound, outbound? These are my movement records I have here, and I'm going to scan it in. I can do inspection checklists, pictures, and it move that equipment around. So if I see, for example, one of these, any EMR has both a from and a to, and the from can be, you know, warehouse, job site, customer, whatever. And so when I do that rental and I prepare that rental to go out, automatically the system's going to create one to move it from wherever it is, whatever warehouse or yard it's in, or customer, to the next place it needs to go, in this case, the customer, right? So these are created most of the time automatically. And you can also create these EMRs manually. So maybe a customer has asked me to move this equipment from one of their job sites to another for them. I can do that. Or maybe I want to create a movement record to bring this from one warehouse to another. So you can also do that manually. And so that in the background, right, this EMR is doing a number of things in Dynamics. It's picking and packing, but our people don't have to deal with that language of the traditional ERP or Dynamics, right? They just deal with this very dealer-friendly language. When I'm moving equipment, it's an equipment movement record. Okay, and on the equipment side here, I'm going to refresh my tabs so they don't go to sleep while I look for my equipment one. Actually, let's jump into this one. This will be good. So we talked about equipment a lot. Let's talk about just selling a part or an item, right? So we got a lot of feedback from dealers that, because this is an ERP, many of them have a shop, or over the counter where we're selling just, hats or merchandise or parts over the counter, right? And so someone may be holding something in their hands, and I need to use my ERP system to check this out, right? And so traditionally, you may want or need a point of sale system to do that, right? That makes that a lot easier. But most dealers aren't doing that much, over the counter that they need a whole point of sale system. So this express sales order here makes it really, really easy. When you don't need to deal with, I'm picking and packing and shipping something, when I just have the product in front of me and I want to get it out, I push one button there. That's my express sales order. It opens a sales order, which does a number of steps in the background, gives me my express sales order customers. It's like a cash customer. I can also go into my header here and change the item if I need to, or excuse me, change the customer. And then I'm going to add a part here. Let's add this part that we have in stock. So someone is holding maybe a hat or t-shirt or a part right in their hand, and I just want to check it out. I add the part, and I'm then able to do express checkout payments. So just a few clicks here. It's now doing many, many things in the background, and this may take a moment because this demo system is a little slower than your production system will be. But this is doing a number of things in the background. It's picking and packing that, getting it ready to go, taking it out of inventory, and it's then preparing to take the customer's payment, and it's going to print a number of documents for me. It usually takes about 30 seconds when I have it warmed it up sufficiently in the morning. Again, that's because it's doing so many things in the background that normally, without a point of sale system, it may be clunky to do that all by yourself in the ERP. So now we've got our payment. We can take cash or credit card. We've got credit card integration, of course, and we can invoice and post. And so it's already printed my packing slip in the background, and now it's going to print a receipt for the customer and an invoice. So it really creates a very friendly retail environment right here in the ERP, right? Where just a few clicks, we can check somebody out. It's not a whole pain to make sure we're picking and packing and invoicing this, when all we want to do is take their payment and get them out the door. So that was a feature we heard a lot of demand for from dealers. And so we added it to our standard product. And that's just printing a few more documents. So it always takes a moment in the morning in my tier 2 demo system. Your system will be a tier 4 or 5 that gets all the good computing power from Microsoft. So that's going to print out my documents. Boom, boom, we've got a receipt. So we print that right at the counter for the customer. We've got an invoice. And of course, we've got our packing slip, and that's been removed from inventory, that part or shirt or hat that they were holding, right? That's a cool feature. Another express feature on sales orders, we call the express picking journal. So I'm going to find, here's a sales order I made earlier. Give a refresh on that. On this sales order, I've added 3 parts. So our parts functionality is there's a lot going on with the parts, right? Because the way parts work with dealers is a lot different from standard retail. And so one of these parts, they're beautifully named. One of these is in inventory on a Tex truck, so that's not in stock at our warehouse here. One of these is located at the warehouse in stock, and one of these, a PO needs to be created for this. We don't have it in stock at all. So normally you wouldn't be able to just glean that from the product name. We would need to go to our back order review, and we'll be able to see in our back order review our item sourcing. And there's tons of parameters to go with the sourcing, right? We can configure how this works and where we source items from. We could do a whole 4-hour demo just on that, but you set up some basic configuring and we guide you on the best way to do that. And this is showing that warehouse 50 is where we can get one of those. Warehouse 10 is where we can get one of those. And this is vendor 002 here, where we're going to buy this from. So there's parameters behind all of that, but all we need to do is approve that this is the plan. Jake Brown says, absolutely. Let's do it. I'm going to approve this back order. And then from there, it's just one click to execute that plan, right? I just about fell out of my chair when I came over to XAPT and saw what they've done here. So just one click, express picking journal. And once again, this will take a moment because it's doing probably 40 clicks in the background. Because we've approved that back order plan, This is creating a PO to the vendor that we purchased that item that's out of stock. It's creating a transfer order to move that item from the other warehouse to this warehouse, and it's creating a pick list for the item that we have in stock. And so all of those things go their separate ways to the people that need them, right? So they'll all have their workspaces, whether I'm picking things. We also have a mobile app to pick and pack, our WMS mobile app. The PO will go to the person that needs to review and send that PO, or we even, depending on your OEM, have integrations to send that PO as an emergency PO directly to your OEM. So, and there's actually that integration right there. We sent that off emergency PO through that integration. And so in just that one click, we executed all this. We have a picking list. And if I go back here, we have a transfer order created. You can view those in our related orders here. And we have a purchase order that was created for this vendor. And here's the PO number. So I could jump into that purchase order or that transfer order, or those are going to go to, the other person that's actually going to do those. So I think that's really cool that in just one click there, 3 different problems on these 3 different parts, and they're all being fulfilled in one click. So it's very easy to use. Okay, so another cool thing, I'm going to show you back to the equipment idea here. So price models and price lists. So of course, equipment with dealers, you could have literally billions of configurations, right, for your equipment. So you're not loading that into the system, right? You're loading in lists from your OEMs and updating them for your models and how they can be configured, right? And this is where you do that. And so we've got, depending on your OEM, different integrations that do this totally automatically, or it's really, really easy. You just pop this open in Excel. You can open any of these pages into Microsoft Excel, and there's a Dynamics plugin there, and you're able to update these. And so this is a price list and a price model here. This is the price model, and these are the different ways you can configure this. And these are the price installed, not installed, your dealer net. That's all brought in from your OEM and your different OEMs. We bring that in, and then only when we then configure it, as I'll show you in a second, are we then creating that unique configuration ID that consists of the different attachments there, right? So it's really easy to maintain your equipment. You just bring in kind of this stuff that is not serious, right? These aren't all items we need to create in the system, right? We bring it in here, and then it becomes a real item, so to speak, a real piece of equipment once we actually use it and put it on a quote or put it on an order, right? It kind of comes into existence. And so you can do all that there. You can configure in the ERP here, but what a lot of our customers are doing is right in the CRM, you're able to get this. This is an optional add-on. This is the Microsoft Customer Engagement Suite. That's why it looks a little different from what I've been in the rest of this time. And this is NAXT CE Sales. So we've taken CE Sales, Microsoft CRM, and we've dealerized it to work perfectly with everything I've been showing you up to this point. So a lot of your salespeople can just be in here. They don't need to be in the ERP necessarily. And you may be familiar with this and what this looks like. Maybe I'll start here from an account view. I'm going to search for one of my accounts. And there's a lot of Copilot in here. You search for one that has a lot of action. I'm going to jump into this account. So your salespeople, because this is connected, right? All of these are connected, right? So if I looked at this account in the ERP I was just in, it's going to look exactly the same. It's synced in real time, right? And we're able to get right here a summary. Copilot is summarizing kind of this, I call this kind of like the social feed here, right, of everything that's been done on this account, right? So when someone modifies something, someone closed an opportunity here, right? Someone created a quotation follow-up here. It shows you what's going on. You can load more, and it summarizes what's going on at this moment with this account. And then also anywhere in the system, you can pop open this Copilot over here, and you're able to ask questions like what's newly assigned to me, help me prepare for my meeting, or get the latest news for accounts. So the idea is the best CRM is kind of no CRM, right? all the salespeople really hate having to update their CRM, right? They go do things and then, now I have to go write what I did in the CRM. It's a big time killer, right? So what Microsoft is attempting to move through and what the whole industry is moving to, right, is that Copilot follows you around. And so you can do this today, right? Copilot's in your Teams and in your Outlook. And as I send emails, as I have Teams calls, it is summarizing what's happening and automatically entering it into the CRM for you. So then we can get insights. Maybe I forgot to follow up with somebody and I told them in my email, yeah, I'll get back to you by next week. And on Friday, Copilot can tell me, hey, let's get back to them. And it can even suggest, hey, here's maybe the email you want to write. Do you want to press send, right? So that's where the industry's heading. It's very exciting on the CRM side. Salespeople are definitely excited about it, right? And you can do that with NAXT. NAXT enables you to do that for your dealership. And so on this account here, we're able to see details like the fleet, because this is one system. We can in real time see what pieces of equipment does this customer have, what are their job sites, what opportunities do they have, quotes, orders, service calls even is all visible to your salespeople if you so choose. Obviously, you can restrict certain things if you'd like right on there. And now I'm going to jump over still in the CRM to a quote I was creating here. And so another cool thing is we can enable our salespeople to quote and configure equipment right in the CRM. So I'm going to add maybe a piece of prime equipment here. So you can't do this in standard dynamics, right? You can just add items, products. Here we've added all of this configurator to go through and actually configure products on quotes. So I can choose maybe a medium excavator. We choose the PC210. I'm going to see in real time it's loading. Do I have any of these equipment numbers available? You can see if I do, and I can even look at, say if I'm doing a rental, I can see my rental fleet versus the ones I want to sell, and I can see their status. I can even see things like the inventory age, the rental age, the manufacturer year, or even the last meter reading, an hour reading on these, so that I can give maybe my best customers the best equipment I have. So you can enable your salespeople to see all of that and make those decisions. And then we can configure. So this is that price list I was talking about, right? We brought in these price lists. We maintain those and update those very easily from the OEM. So we're then able to either choose a standard configuration on that last page. Maybe we have standard ways we do it, or we can configure right here based on the pricing and the options that we brought in from our OEM. We can add that configuration. We could even do, depending on your OEM, we could send a compatibility check to make sure this is allowed and that they're going to accept this order, or we can just complete the configuration. And this is going to take a moment. It's going to add this to my quotation. So we can enable our salespeople to configure and quote very, very easily with real-time data. So there's no confusion. They can quote only things they're allowed to quote, and they can promise only equipment that we're able to promise, right? So very good to enable them to do that. This is going to add that to my quote. And we can add other things to the quote as well. So you see here, I've got a bunch of prime equipment. Also have a job here, a service standard job. So I'll show you kind of the things that we can add here. We can add, so in standard dynamics, we can just do products. Here we can do prime equipment. We can do attachments to that equipment. We can upsell extended warranties right here and configure those. And then standard jobs, you may have different services, and you can maintain lists of the standard pricing and hours and parts that are used for those services, so that you can then very simply have your salespeople put jobs in here. So maybe we want a job for the configuration or the install or the delivery of this equipment. Your salespeople can add that, or we can even upsell PM plans and contracts right from here. So all very easy to do. And then we can drill down into the prime equipment, and this is kind of our deal sheet here. So we can go through and see the pricing. We can edit the pricing right here with the edit, and it'll show you what we can edit. And this is that config ID that was just created. So when I configured this made to order here, it's creating a config ID that shows you that exact configuration. And another cool Copilot feature here that we just got access to. So as Microsoft releases these, we get access to it, and it all works with NAXT very easily. we're able to just drag files into here. So this is just about on any page, any form in here. When we're filling out forms, maybe I'm creating a new quote or a new opportunity, and I have all this information that, boss wants me to fill out. You can get started by dragging, maybe I was doing the deal sheet, literally writing on paper with the customer already, right? And we talked about different deals or different options for this opportunity. I can upload that, scan it in, or upload a Word document or, an Excel that I've been working on, drop that right in here, and it's going to suggest different options to fill my forms. It's also going to suggest, if I'm just going through and, maybe I'm doing quotes, and I've done 5 today, and the last 5 I've all chosen the same date or whatever, right, for my follow-up date. It's going to suggest for me intelligently that a little rainbow is going to show up, and it's going to suggest the date, and all I have to do is press the check mark to check that off. So that's another cool Copilot tool that's found throughout the CRM here. Okay. And so now I'm going to start to wrap up here we're going to leave the system, the NAXT system here, and show you a little bit of the ecosystem. And so everything I'm about to show you works beautifully with NAXT. So one thing that's really big with Copilot right now, you may be playing with yourselves if you're into this stuff, is Copilot Studio. So this is really what Microsoft thinks is the future here, right? They keep using this word agentic, right? That the software is changing, and it's going to be less of humans clicking around and completing tasks, and more of these agents that you've already probably seen if you're talking to Copilot or ChatGPT. They're very, very smart, right? So we think that the future is these agents are going to bring work to humans, right? And so you can create these agents right here without any coding at all, right in Copilot Studio, and you can even connect it to everything I've just shown you, right? To your NAXT CRM, to your NAXT ERP, and there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this. So some examples here, a help desk, whether that's internal or external, expense tracking or HR type tools are really easy to make. It's good at that language stuff, right? Create a bot that's able to explain maybe your healthcare enrollment or whatever, and you can just literally do it with plain words, or type exactly what I want to create. Or I'll jump into one of these here. So this is just a website Q&A bot. This is a template that Microsoft has. So this bot has access to the Microsoft website, and so it's able to answer questions based on that website. Of course, you could do your website. And what I've done for dealers is I've popped their website in here. Maybe they have used equipment inventory on the website, and then just in a few seconds, you're able to ask a bot, tell me, do you have any of these models that are under this many hours for sale? And it can answer those questions for you. But where it really gets exciting is then giving it knowledge beyond just maybe a public website. So we can add public websites. We can also add knowledge from Dynamics 365 and from NAXT, or from the Dataverse, and that's that one source of truth I talked about earlier, where all of your data, if you move to the NAXT and Dynamics ecosystem, is going to be stored in the Dataverse. And so you're able to add different tables here and give this Copilot access. And you want to be very careful to give it very specific access, right? But you can even have folks log in, right? So you can create maybe this is an external Copilot, and I want to have one that talks to customers about their machines that they currently have. So I can prompt them to log in, and they can log in and then speak to the Copilot only about those machines. So it's all very secure, but you can do some really exciting things with this, all with very little coding. So you can add maybe accounts or certain tables right from NAXT and give it access to those tables. And you can also have these Copilots do things and actually change information. And that all looks very similar to Power Automate, which is the next one I want to talk about. So you may use or be familiar with Power Automate. If you're not, this is kind of low code, no code process creation, right? So I can create flows. And this can kind of be used as the glue in between different processes. Some of our customers use this in lieu of a development, or maybe there's still one piece of software that they don't want to give up, or they want to make a connection there. You can do that with low or no coding, or even just speaking in plain language to Copilot and saying something like, every month I want to copy all these files from this folder to this folder, or with Dynamics and with NAXT, I can add something like, hey, when a PO is created at my branch, I want you to send me this, this, and this detail from it in an email. And so just speaking to Copilot or just creating a flow, right from here, you can do things. You can empower your users to create cool flows like this. And these are really great just for kind of alerts and, things like, hey, I just want a Teams message, or I want a reminder, or I want a email when certain things happen. Or maybe when certain things happen or I receive an email, I want to create maybe a ticket in Dynamics, or I want to create um, a Teams message. So I can do all that very easily. I have finance and operations apps. That's the Dynamics. That's NAXT or Microsoft Dataverse. And then there's a number of other tools in here as well, and different tools you may use that all work very well with Power Automate. You can also have Copilot, those agents I showed you back here, trigger or complete flows for you. So this really is, the future, right? This is where software is heading, and NAXT and Microsoft are right on the cutting edge. So another cool feature is Power Pages. This is website development. So you can save a lot of time and money just creating basic websites, whether they're internal or external, right? Something like I want a customer portal, or I want an employee self-service portal, or order returns. These can all have access to Dynamics 365, and they're all cool templates that I can spin up really, really fast and use Copilot to modify these. We even have agents on those websites. So the sky's really the limit for you to do with very little coding and assistance from us to create websites or also applications that work well with this whole ecosystem I've shown you. So Power Apps are really similar to Power Pages there. I'm able to create an application, and we've seen customers do this all on their own. That works beautifully with NAXT. So if there's any kind of gap here, describe a problem that your users have today is a great way of putting it, right? I need my staff to check out equipment and be notified of due dates, or employees need to log vacation hours. So you can build cool internal apps like that, right? That are able to then send information to NAXT or read information from NAXT. And you can create pretty cool applications, even if it's just like a one-time event sign-up kind of thing, right? Or if it's something you guys use every day for a while, you can spin up applications really quickly and with the power of Copilot, and it's all connected. Okay, so similar to that flexibility, right, where I keep telling you this all works really, really nicely with NAXT, right? We enable you to use all this stuff from Microsoft, right? We're not limiting you just, it's like, oh, I have the NAXT version of that. I can't take advantage of that. No, right? Almost every instance of Dynamics in different verticals has ISVs, independent software vendors like us, that are adding that niche functionality that you need, right? So Microsoft's very used to it, and all of our customers are up to date. But we really have a lot of flexibility here, right? You probably have a number of questions, and maybe Sabrina has answered some of them for you already. Can I already have Salesforce, right? Can it integrate to that? Yes, right? I just want this for some of my businesses, or maybe I also have a truck dealership or material handling dealership, right? Does it work for that? And we like to say yes to these, right? It's usually a yes, yes, yes. Just about all of our implementations look very different, right? We have different needs and different structures, or they have different software they bring to the table. And so if you only need to do, maybe rental first, or you just want the service first, or whatever, the answer is probably going to be yes, we can work with you. It's very flexible. So if you have any questions there, and you probably do, because this is just a quick initial look here, please let me know. I want to thank you guys for joining. And if you have any questions or feedback, I'd really, really welcome if you send me personally any feedback that you have about that, or any questions that you may have, like, hey, does it work with this or that? And hopefully we can be flexible and tell you yes, that it does. That's probably the case. We'd love to give you an additional demo, because you could go for hours and hours just about the basic functionality in the system. But I really hope you got a good initial look here, and I hope you're interested in learning more. If so, please reach out either to me in North and South America, or to Gerard over on the other side of the globe. I want to really thank you for joining, and have a great rest of your day.